Starting in a supine hook lying position, which is a fancy way of saying knees bent on my back, I'm going to put my hands on my rib cage to bring some awareness to it and drive a big exhale as I push the rib cage down to grab some core recruitment. From there, I'm going to posteriorly tilt my pelvis and try and flatten my lower back into the floor. This is going to give me an optimal position of my rib cage and pelvis to keep my core engaged. While maintaining that pelvic and rib cage position, I'm going to straighten my legs out as best I can and bring my hands right to the sides of my knees. From here, I'm working on inhaling through my nose and exhaling through my mouth as I lower and lift one leg. So I'm going to inhale here and exhale as I bring that leg back up. All the meantime, I am actively reaching toward my knees slash behind, trying to reach past my knees with those straight leg position. Now everyone's going to have a different hamstring and flexibility length here with that straight leg position, so don't obsess over it too much. Just do your best to keep those knees straight and or in a 90-degree angle at the hips. To take the previous exercise one step further, we're going to achieve the same position, but now on our feet instead of on our back. And I'm still working to recruit that core musculature in this hinged position, but now the focus is on pushing away from the wall to push myself back into my hips to find a glute and hamstring stretch. Once I've found the core activity with the glute and hamstring stretch, I'm going to try and keep that core tension, take my hands away from the wall, check the core position, and that's basically the bottom of a deadlift position. Now for the next exercise, we'll need a light load, and the focus is on the position of holding that load like I'm demonstrating. We don't want it close to the chest. We don't want to be overarching the back. We want to keep a nice neutral ribcage position, tucking the tailbone, and keeping that weight up and away from you. You should feel abs before you even begin the hinge, which is a prerequisite to that exercise being successful. Once you feel like you've achieved that core tension, then you simply perform your hinge, and I would recommend playing with the amount of knee bend that you're using during your hinge because everyone's individual flexibility will be a little bit different. So it's important to use which range of motion is best for you in order to find a proper hinge, which we will demonstrate a little bit more in the next clip. Next, to put it all together, we're going to use a barbell here. You can use a dowel, a broomstick, or anything similar. And I'm going to demonstrate how an anterior tilt versus a posterior tilt looks. Anterior tilt, checking in the mirror, posterior tilt, there we go, and then exhaling to drive that rib cage down just like those previous two drills. So the main focus is the pelvic position and the rib cage position as we worked on in those previous two drills, and then beginning to move back into that hip hinge like we did with the drill where we were pushing back away from the wall and playing with how much knee bend I might need. So I'm just sort of demonstrating how you can explore the amount of knee bend and hip hinge you'll need in order to find a glute stretch and a hamstring stretch while maintaining that core tension. It's a little bit different for everybody, but we just want to make sure that we're not overarching or over rounding the lower back. If you can, it would be ideal to use a mirror or even your phone to record a video of yourself so you can understand what it looks like when you feel like you're in the right position. Now to put it all together, finally, this position here is what the top of this hinge should look like before we go anywhere. Want to make sure that rib cage is over the hips and not the rib cage being in front of the hips like so. That's going to result in slightly overarched lower back and feeling like you're loading that lumbar spine instead of the entire skeleton. So again, we focus on exhaling to get that rib cage down, tucking the tailbone, and pulling the bar into your body. I'm actively trying to pull the bar into my body as I hinge to keep that weight right over my midfoot and basically scraping against my shins and thighs as I go through that hinge. So try all these movements, see if you can put them all together, and that should help you go toward a successful hip hinge. Thanks for watching.